So we'll briefly discuss about verse number 7, which we discussed in the previous class. Karpanidosho upahasvabhava pichhami tvam dharma samudha cheta yashreyasyanishchitam bruhitan me shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapanno. So if anyone remembers, please volunteer yourself and share with everybody. What did we learn from this verse? Any volunteer? Preeti Mataji, okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Okay, first Preeti Mataji, then Riyansh Prabhu. Yes, Preeti Mataji.
In verse number 2.7, Arjuna is going to accept Krishna as his guru. This is going to be the turning point. And we learned about miserly and Brahmana. Miserly are those who do not solve their problem. And Brahmana are just opposite to miserly. They utilize their time to solve all their perplexities, problems in life. And then we learned that relationship between guru and disciple is very serious. And guru means, wu means darkness, and ru means who dispels the darkness. So guru is one who dispels darkness and ignorance from our lives.
Very good. Thank you, Mataji. Yes, Riyansh Prabhu.
Prabhuji, in the verse chapter 2, verse 7, we learned about what is Kripana. Kripana is one who doesn't solve the problems of life without understanding the science of self-realization. He is a Kripana. And the opposite of Kripana is Brahmana, the one who has realized the science of self-realization. Second thing, we discussed about how Arjuna accepted Krishna as his spiritual master, and how divine and how spiritual, how serious is the relationship between a guru and a disciple. And we also learned that we should always look for long-term solutions. We should not look for instant sense gratification, shreyas and prayas. And yes, we should always approach a spiritual master who has realized the truth.
Very
Hare Krishna,
nice.
Prabhuji.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Riyansh. Anyone else would like to add anything? Yes, Minal Mataji. Be not audible, Mataji.
Sorry, I think
Bolo.
now I would be audible.
Bolo.
Yeah. So this verse is a life transformation verse, because till now it was Arjuna who was speaking and Krishna who was listening. But from now onwards, from this chapter, Krishna has started to answer Arjuna's question. So therefore, it is called as a life transformation verse. After that, वो सारी चीजें तो same ही थी. One more thing, that relationship between so a guru is someone who comes, a spiritual master is someone who must be from a disciplic succession, that is he should come from a parampara. And then there were two important terms, Shreyas and Prayas. Shreyas is one who is interested in long-term pleasure. Prayas one who is interested in an instant pleasure or instant sense gratification. Arjuna wanted a solution which gives him an eternal pleasure. He didn't want some short-term pleasures. So therefore, Arjuna offered him himself as a student. Basically, he lowered down his himself from a friend to a student, because his position from a friend to a student, because as a student, the knowledge will flow faster from a guru to a student. And there are three ways how we can take a shelter from the guru. First by paying obeisances, second by being humble, and third by serving the spiritual masters in different ways. There are two ways in which one can serve the spiritual masters. One is Vapusena and another is Vani Sena. Vani Seva is something in which we can listen and follow Guru's instruction. Vapu Seva is something in which basically it's a physical seva in which we can do something for the Guru. हाँ बस यही है. Yes.
Very nice. Wonderful. You all are very serious students. Anyone else? Aishwarya Mataji, yes.
One last thing, the purpose of this human body is something which we learn. So normally this human body is actually fit, it is for the purpose of self-realization. So there is one sloka, we actually got it very easily, but at the same time, it is also very rare. There was one sloka from Bhagavatam which he explained. And apart from that, this body is like a boat and the captain is a guru. So, and the instructions which are given in Gita are like favorable winds for passing this ocean of material ways.
Very
So
good.
that is one thing which we learn.
Mm.
Then, apart from that, what are the different characteristics for approaching the guru? You have to be submissive, and you also need to have the attitude of service. Only then you are actually fit to ask questions to the guru.
Very nice. Wonderful. Thank you very much. You know, in one of the quotes, Prabhupada mentioned, we should preach to intellectual class of people like all of you. Because he thought if he preached to intellectual class, you know, they have a potential to become leaders and propagate this knowledge further to masses. You know? So we should always remember we are receiving this knowledge due to the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. And somehow we have to repay it, isn't it? And we can never repay to the mercy of a guru, but the only way we can please him by propagating the knowledge which we received. Become an instrument to spread this knowledge. We can please the spiritual master. We can never repay the debt, but we can always please. Now, so that puts a responsibility on us to understand this subject very seriously, study this very seriously, so that we can explain to other people also. Correct? So you make nice notes. Tomorrow, if you have to take a class, for example, you can always refer back to your notes and prepare, isn't it? And very soon, maybe after a few verses, everybody will get an opportunity to explain and prepare and explain. So simultaneously, we prepare leaders also from this class. Is that okay? Yes. Rajendra Prabhu, Hare Krishna. So very nice. Hare Krishna. Okay, so we'll do 2.8. Nahi papashyami mamanupya yaschokam uchoshanam indriyanam avapya bhuma ashpatnam riddham rajyam suranam apicha adipatyam. So what is Krishna saying here? Sorry, it is Arjuna who is speaking this verse. Na, do not, he certainly, prapashyami, I see, mama, my, apanudayat, can drive away, yat, that which, shokam, lamentation, uchoshanam, drying up, indriyanam, of the senses, avapaya, achieving, bhumo, on the earth, asapatnam, without rival, riddham, prosperous, rajyam, kingdom, suranam, of the demigods, api, even, cha, also, Patyam Supremacy. Translation purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I can find no means to drive away this grief which is drying up my senses. I will not be able to dispel it, even if I win a prosperous, unrivaled kingdom on the earth with sovereignty like the demigods in heaven. Please repeat after me. Can I request everybody to switch on your videos, please? Please repeat after me. I can find no means to drive away this grief,
drive away this grief,
which is drying up
which is drawing up
my senses.
my senses.
I will not be able to
I will not be able to
able to
dispel it,
dispel it,
even if I win a prosperous,
even if I win a prosperous,
unrivaled kingdom
unrivaled kingdom
on earth
on earth
with sovereignty
with sovereignty
like the demigods in heaven.
like a demigod in the heaven.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. You can mute yourself. So I'll read the purport. Please write down key highlights from this purport. Everybody has a notebook and pen? Yes? That much at least a student should have. A pen and a notebook. Can I start reading? So write down key highlights which you pick up from this purport. We'll discuss later. Although Arjuna was putting forward so many arguments based on knowledge of the principles of religion and moral codes, it appears that he was unable to solve his real problem. He was unable to solve his real problem without the help of the spiritual master, Lord Sri Krishna. He could understand that his so-called knowledge was useless in driving away his problems, which were drying up his whole existence. And it was impossible for him to solve such perplexities without the help of a spiritual master like Lord Krishna. Academic knowledge, scholarship, high position, etc. are all useless. I'm sorry, I'm not saying this. Prabhupada is saying this. Are all useless in solving the problems of life. Help can be given only by a spiritual master like Krishna. Therefore, the conclusion is that a spiritual master who is 100% Krishna conscious is the bona fide spiritual master, for he can solve the problems of life. He can solve the problems of life. Lord Chaitanya said that one who is master in the science of Krishna consciousness, regardless of his social position, is the real spiritual master. Kiba vipra kiba nyasi shudra kene nae, e Krishna tattva veta say guru hai. It doesn't matter whether a person is a vipra. Vipra means a learned scholar in Vedic wisdom, or he is born in a lower family, or he is in the renounced order of life like sannyasi. if he is a master in science of Krishna, he is a perfect and bona fide spiritual master. So birth doesn't matter, in which family one has taken birth. If one is equipped with science of Krishna consciousness, he is eligible to become spiritual master. Okay. Sat karma nipuno vipra mantra tantra visharadaha avaishnavo guru nasayat vaishnavaha swa pacho guru. A scholarly Brahmana, expert in all subjects of Vedic knowledge, is unfit to become a spiritual master without being a Vaishnava or expert in the science of Krishna consciousness. But a person born in the family of a lower caste can become a spiritual master if he is a Vaishnava or Krishna conscious. It's from Padam Puran. The problems of material existence, birth, old age, disease, and death. 4 problems: birth, old age, disease, and death cannot be counteracted by accumulation of wealth and economic development. In many parts of the world, there are states which are replete with all facilities of life, which are full of wealth and economically developed. Yet the problems of material existence are still present. They are seeking peace in different ways, but they can achieve real happiness only if they consult Krishna or Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, which constitute the science of Krishna. Through the bona fide representative of Krishna, the man in Krishna consciousness. If economic development and material comforts could drive away one's lamentations for family, social, national, or international inebrities, then Arjuna would not have said that even an unrivaled kingdom on earth or supremacy like that of demigods in the heavenly planets would be unable to drive away his lamentation. He sought, therefore, refuge in Krishna consciousness, and that is the right path for peace and harmony. Economic development or supremacy over the world can be finished at any moment. In one moment, one who is billionaire can become in one moment by the cataclysms of material nature. Even elevation into the higher planetary situation, as men are now seeking on the moon planet, can also be finished at one stroke. The Bhagavad Gita confirms this. Kshine punne martyalokam vishanti. When the results of pious activities are finished, one falls down again from the peak of happiness to the lowest status of life. Many politicians of the world have fallen down in that way. Such downfalls only constitute more causes for lamentation. Therefore, if we want to curb lamentation for good, then we have to take shelter of Krishna, as Arjuna is seeking to do. So Arjuna asked Krishna to solve his problem definitely, and that is the way of Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So yes, so what all you have noted down? You tell me, and then we'll consolidate all the learnings from this purport. Who has not spoken so far? Uma Mataji. One highlight you have picked up from the purport.
Hare Krishna. real problems of life, they cannot be solved by the worldly knowledge or religious knowledge or moral codes. If we do not have the help of or guidance of a spiritual guru, spiritual master, and that can be Krishna or a person who is Krishna conscious.
Very good, wonderful. So, if you ask a dog, you have seen dog, na? I'm sure you would have seen many dogs. You've not seen God, but you have seen dogs. If you ask a dog, what is the goal of your life? What will he say? If you ask a dog, what is the goal of your life? You must be wondering, how will I speak in dog's language? Dog will simply bark, correct? And by barking, he means, give me something to eat. That is the goal of my life. Correct? After eating, he will look around for a bitch to have sex and satisfy his, such requirement. And then after he is tired, he'll look for some shelter to sleep. Correct? And if another dog comes, he'll try to defend himself or drive him away. Correct? So the goal of dog's life is eating, procreation, sleeping, and defending. Correct? In Hindi or in Shastric language, it is called Ahar, Nidra, Bhay, Maithunam Cha. So the goal of a dog's life or a dog is Ahar, Nidra, Bhay, Maithunam Cha, procreation, producing children. Now tell me, if you ask a very rich materialist who is not Krishna conscious, you ask him, what is the goal of your life? What will he say? He will say these 4 things only, but on a higher scale. For shelter, he will say, I want to have a big bungalow. Right? A dog can sleep on the street, but this rich materialist needs maybe a 5-bedroom apartment or a big bungalow. Correct? But the need is same. The biological need is same. Then he will say, I want to enjoy a variety of food in different restaurants, 5-star hotels. And in Bombay, when I was in Bombay, I also used to go. People normally go out for food. Every Saturday, Sunday, they look for new restaurants to fill their belly. Yes? Shambhari Mata. Kya naam hai aapka? Sorry. It'll take some time for me to remember.
Sambhavi.
Sorry, Sambhavi.
Yes.
Sambhavi Mata. Am I correct?
Yes.
In Bombay, in all the cities, in fact in Udaipur also, people look for new places to hang around and eat.
Yes.
That is the goal of their life, weekend goal. And then they try to secure many insurance policies, properties, bank balance to defend themselves, to protect themselves from uncertainties. Correct? That is their mechanism to defend. Kya bacha? Ahar, Nidra, Bhay ho gaya, Maithunam. And then everybody wants to have sex and produce children. So, goal of a dog or a rich materialist, no difference. Any challenge to this statement? Then what is the difference? What is the difference? If you ask a spiritualist who is Krishna conscious, he will say, Janam, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, Dukha, Dosha, Nudarshanam. This is teaching from Bhagavad Gita, which defines what are the real problems of life. Problem of life is not to fill belly. That is not the problem of life, to solve for, to work very hard for. Even, anybody, animals on the street, they also fill their belly without working from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. They're able to fill their belly without working hard, isn't it? So he'll say, these are not the problems of life. The real problems of life are, which is common to all. No one wants it, but no one can avoid it. 3 conditions. Common to all. No one wants it, but no one can avoid it materially. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Janam, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, Dukh, Doshanu, Darshanam. These are the 4 real problems of life. One should meditate on them again and again, again and again, again and again, so that he can try to find solution to these problems. And then he comes from the platform of an animal to the platform of a human being. Then only he can be called as a human being. If he is busy with those 4 things, he is still on the platform of animal. In human body, propensity of an animal. Right? Just one sec. Correct? So it defines the purpose of human life. The purpose of human life is not eating, sleeping, defending, or mating. That is not the. Animals do better than us on these 4 fronts. If you think little logically, intelligently, you'll find, they are able to fill their belly without working hard. They're better than us, right? Isn't it? And they can have sex more than once in a day. Maybe if you ask pigeons, they have sex more than 20, 30 times in a day. We can't compete with them, can we? We can't. So they are better positioned to defend themselves without external objects. We need so many things to defend ourselves. So on these 4 fronts, they are better positioned than us. But how do we prove that you are a human being? By trying to solve these 4 real problems, which a human only can solve, not a dog or an ass. They are not capable. See, what is common between human beings and animals is their bodily construction is same. Do we have any doctor here? Who is a doctor here? Any doctor here?
Ji.
So you will agree, Huma Mataji, the bodily construction is same in animals
Basic.
and human beings. Basic
Yes.
structure is same. Then what is the difference? The difference is in terms of consciousness, thinking process. Isn't it? You can read Bhagavad Gita. Dog cannot read Bhagavad Gita. The traffic light is meant for whom? Dogs or human beings? Hanji? Will a dog stop when there's red light? Why? He's a dog. No. His consciousness is not developed. He cannot think what is right, what is wrong. His business is only to bark and seek help in terms of his food. That's it. But human being will stop. He knows red light means rukna hai or green light means jana hai. Similarly, a human being can study Bhagavad Gita and understand the real purpose of human life, which animals cannot do. So all the Vedic literature is summarized in what is called as Vedant Sutras. Sutra matlab kya hota hai? Formula.
So,
Correct? So in formulas, and the first formula of Vedanta Sutra is Athato Brahm Jigyasa. What is Jigyasa? What is Jigyasa?
Curiosity.
Curiosity or inquiry. Correct? Athato. Athato means now that you have human body, Brahm Jigyasa, inquire about God. Animal cannot. You can. Now that you have human body, please inquire about God. When you make that inquiry, then you will find solution to these 4 problems. When you make this inquiry, then you will find solution to these 4 problems. Janam, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, Dukkha, Dosha, Anudarshan. And Arjuna is saying here, I will not be able to dispel it even if I win a prosperous, unrivaled kingdom on the earth. He's saying, even if I win a kingdom of this entire planet, I cannot solve it. If he is not able to solve it with the kingdom of this planet, do you think we can solve our problems with little bit of wealth, with little bit of, material education, or some position in some company, or a owner of a small business? Can we? Prabhupada writes, no education, no name, fame, position can solve these problems. Once Prabhupada was in some university, MIT in US. Okay. So they said, Prabhupada, India is a very poor country. And you have come from India, from a poor country. What do you want to give us? What do you have to give us? Big challenge to Prabhupada. कि आपके पास क्या है हमको देने के लिए? We have come from a downtrodden country. Prabhupada said, there is one thing common between US and India. One thing common between US and India, which is both have 100% death rate. Which have India or US both have 100% death rate. And we have the formula to solve this problem. Do you have? Tell me any department in your MIT university which talks about solving this problem. They had so many departments, so many streams, but none of them discusses about body and soul. That is a starting point of solving this problem. So Arjuna is saying, even if I win this kingdom, I cannot solve this problem myself. And hence I take shelter of Krishna as a spiritual master. So he can guide me. He can enlighten me how to solve this problem. So later Krishna will talk about 4 types of people who take shelter of Krishna. How many types? 4 types. Chatur Vidha Bhajante Mam Janaha Sukritino Arjuna Arto Jigyasur Artha Artharathi Gyani Cha Bharat Sharshabha. Who are these four people who take shelter? Chaturvidha means four types of people. First one is Arto. Arto means somebody who is distressed, like Arjuna is distressed. Correct? So when Arjuna was distressed, his body was shivering, he was sweating, skin was burning, he was crying. In that miserable condition, he took shelter of Krishna. So the distress which can help us take shelter of Krishna is a blessing in disguise. So all our difficult times are not bad. If a bad time helps me to take shelter of the God, it is a good problem to have. This can be a blessing in disguise. So every time we have a difficult time in our life, we should think about Arjuna. He was also in difficult time, and how he utilized his difficult time to take shelter of a spiritual master or Krishna. So we should make difficult time a stepping stone to move closer to the God and take his shelter. Normally people during difficult time, they take shelter of pubs, daru, cigarette, prostitution, isn't it? Bombay, usually people do like that. But instead, during difficult times, we should open Bhagavad Gita. You may find solution simply by opening Bhagavad Gita. I don't know whether I shared with all of you. We bought a flat in Andheri, Oberoi Splendor. Some of you may know, on JVLR Road. And when for the first time we are about to enter that flat, about to step inside, we opened Bhagavad Gita. What is Krishna's message for us? So before that, we spent a lot of time, energy, effort in decorating that flat. You know. And then we were to enter and we opened Bhagavad Gita. So we read, everybody is trying to decorate his accommodation as if he is going to stay there forever. That was Krishna's message for us. So we are decorating our houses, flats, as if we're going to stay there forever. You will not believe, within 6 months, we were moved out of Bombay. Within 6 months, we moved out of Bombay. So any time you need some guidance, bad or good times, you should take shelter of Bhagavad Gita or Krishna or spiritual master, who is a bona fide representative of Krishna. Okay, so this was one message here. Okay, I was talking about four people. So first one is Artha, and second is Jigyasu. Jigyasu means who is inquisitive. He has a lot of curiosity to find out, hey, kaise hota hai? Who is managing this, all the seasons, they come and go on time. Hey, the sun is coming from where? Who is giving you so much of light? You know, such inquiries. Animals cannot think like this. Human beings can think like this. Why do I die? Why do I get old? Why do I get so many diseases? Such inquiries. So that is another person who wants to take shelter of Krishna. Third is Artha Arthi, means one who wants money. है ना? हे भगवान, क्या मेरे को प्रमोशन दिला दीजिए या नौकरी दिला दीजिए वगैरह वगैरह, लॉटरी लगवा दीजिए वगैरह. People go to temple to seek his intervention to get lot of money. Prior, for money people go to Lord Shiva, है ना? उनको पता है he is Ashutosh, he becomes happy or pleased very soon. And he'll award some benediction and he'll get a lot of money. That is third reason. And fourth is Artha Jigyasu, Artharthi and Jnani. Jnani means again knowledge seeker. Trying to get some knowledge. So Arjuna belonged to which category? He was distressed. And the message or learning is whenever you're distressed, we should take shelter of Bhagavad Gita instead of running around here and there. We might get some lesson which could transform our life completely. Okay. Okay. What are the other key highlight you wrote down while reading purport? Anyone? Any other highlight you wrote down? Yes, Riyansh.
The spiritual master should be Krishna conscious.
So who is eligible to become Guru? Should he belong to a Brahmana community only? No. Anyone can become Guru. Anyone who has understood the science. So whatever you're studying is nothing less than science. Real science is this only. You getting a point? One who has understood science of body and soul, he is real scientist. So all devotees are the only scientists because they know science of life. So who has understood and realized science of Krishna consciousness, he is eligible to become Guru. He may belong to Brahmana community or he may even belong to Shudra community, doesn't matter. Srila Prabhupada, when he went to US in 1965, his first customers were hippies. You understand hippie? How do you define hippie? Anyone?
जो मतलब जो लोग नशे में हैं, they say that वो हमेशा अपने एक अलग लेवल पे रहते हैं नशे में और वो लोग नीचे नहीं आना चाहते कभी. तो हिपीज वो होते हैं और अभी जितना हमने लीलामृत में पढ़ा वही था हिपीज के बारे में.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Who is a hippie?
These are the people in distress who are looking for some alternate to elevate themselves.
Okay, very good. So all youngsters who are fed up of this life, they're searching for something different. And while searching, they take shelter of wrong objects like, intoxication or gambling or whatever, drug abuse. All youngsters, they want to go back to and they're from rich families also, many of them, some of them. Basic downtrodden. They're violating all principles of life. They were the first customers of Srila Prabhupada. So they were violating all rules, intoxication, gambling, and illicit sex. And Prabhupada, with the help of chanting process and Bhagavad Gita, elevated their consciousness to that level that they became Guru later on. They became spiritual master. Just imagine. And many of our accepting disciples now. Many disciples they have. If you follow the process, cleanse your consciousness through the process of chanting the holy name and understanding the science of Krishna, anybody can become Guru. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, anyone who is born in India is very fortunate. So what should he do? Janam sarthak kari kara para upakar. He should first make his life perfect and then give this perfection to others, or he should become a guru. So every Indian has been advised by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to perfect this life using this process of Krishna consciousness and then help others perfect their lives, so that they don't live like animals and they don't die like animals, and again they don't take birth as animals. If human beings have animal propensities of eating, sleeping, defending, they will take body of animal next time for sure. So next body comes based on our desires, based on our mental situation, based on what we think, based on our karmas. Our next body is designed. So if our propensities are like animals, then animal body is getting designed parallelly. So to save ourselves from this disaster, we must take shelter of Krishna. It's a disaster, no? One may be a billionaire in this life, but he might become dog in the next life because of his desires, material desires. Huge loss, no? So Bhagavad Gita is must to avoid this kind of degradation or fall down. Okay, what is the other point you have written? So anybody can become Guru if he knows Krishna consciousness, science of Krishna consciousness. Other highlight you've written from the purport?
Who comes to the shelter of Krishna? There are 4 categories of people who comes in the shelter of Krishna: the person in distress, the person who is curious to know truth, the person who wants lot of wealth, and the person who is knowledge seeker.
Correct. So these 4 we
These are the
discussed.
4 categories of people who comes in the shelter of Krishna.
Who takes shelter. Very good. Thank you, Rajiv Prabhu. What else you noted down from the purport we read?
Main thing is the fear. He was unable to come out of his fear. He knows that he may get the whole kingdom like kingdom of a demigod. Still, he is unable to come out of his fear, that I am unable to dispense my fear. So he was a person in distress, and that is why he is seeking shelter of Krishna to do away his fear.
Correct. So none of the material opulences help us solve our life problems. You know, we cannot make these wrong assumptions that if I earn more, I'll become more happy. Forget about it. If I study more, if I become a highly educated person, I will become happy. Forget about it. If I become very famous, I'll become happy. Forget about it. These are not the formulas to become happy. If that was a formula, Arjuna would have fought the battle and thought, if I win this kingdom, I'll solve all my problems. On the contrary, he's saying, even unrivaled kingdom of demigods, which is heaven, even if I win that, that is not going to help me to solve the problem. So solution to our real problems does not lie in material solutions. Bottom line. Solution to all our problems does not lie in material solutions, but for all material problems, there is a spiritual solution. For all material problems, there is a spiritual solution. And hence, it is must for everyone to understand the science of Krishna, to solve all his problems. Okay. Anything else you wrote down?
Even if we go to higher planets or even if we perform some pious activities, after the results of the pious activities are done, they again fall back to the
Very good.
lower
Very
stages
good.
of life.
So someone may think, okay, I will not live like animals. I'll do lot of pious activities. And tell me some pious activities normally people do. Social service activities,
Charity.
charity, what else? What else? Some yagyas, charity, what else?
Feeding poor people.
Feeding poor people, opening hospitals, opening anathalya. There are some social service activities. Now, there is no spiritual benefit of these activities, but there's a material benefit. And what is the material benefit? One gets a chance to go to higher planets within material world, which we normally call as heaven or Swarga. Swarga is a material planet. It is not a spiritual planet. So one should not aspire to go to Swarga. But here in India, everybody wants to become Swargavasi. It is only due to lack of knowledge, ignorance, darkness. Why people are so encouraged to do these activities, but they want some nice birth next time. They should take a birth in some rich aristocratic family, or they get a chance to go to heaven, which is full of opulences. Heaven means you have so much rus, you have nice women around, you have a wonderful, very high level of comfort. But once the credit of your pious activities is over, you'll be thrown back into this material world. Thrown back means thrown back. And like your credit card limit is over, no shopkeeper will entertain you. Right? If your credit card doesn't have a limit. Similarly, heaven enjoyment is only basis some pious credits we have gathered. Once the credits are over, one falls down into this material planet, or let's say earthly planet. So it is not a solution. People there also are distressed. People there also are suffering from janam mrityu jara vyadhi. So that is not a solution. Okay. If somebody thinks by doing pious activities, I'll perfect my life, that is not the case. Perfections is only through spiritual intervention on the platform of soul, not on the platform of body. All social activities are targeting body, not the soul. Feeding poor people for the body, blood camps for the body, anathalya for the body, hospitals for the body, nothing for the soul. So real social service is doing something favorable for the soul. That is real highest form of charity. Okay. Like spreading this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, so that one becomes aware of the purpose of his life and solve all his problems. This is the highest form of charity. I'm not saying, Krishna will say later in 18th chapter, one who spreads this knowledge, most dear to me. Okay, any question, query, comment?
सर वो शून्यवादी क्या होता है?
शून्यवादी So there's a class of people who believe that everything becomes zero after this life. There is nothing after that. And everything is over, the end. Like in Buddhism, they are called Shunyavadis. Their philosophy is if you don't perform karma, there is no karmic reaction, and that is the end of, that is called nirvana, what they call. Right? But it is a wrong philosophy.
But they are very spiritual people.
They look spiritual. But philosophically, they're not right. Reincarnation, they don't believe in. It happens. There's so many studies done now on reincarnation, that there's a life after death. In the second chapter, Krishna will talk about this, the next few verses. Dehino asmin yatha dehe khomaram yovanam jara tatha dehantar prapt. Dehant ke baad. Krishna will talk about the next few verses. You open any dictionary, you read about death. Death means what? When all the bodily limbs stop functioning, that is called death. There is nothing after death, but no. There is life after death. And that life after death is a function of what we did in this life. Like if a child doesn't study well in 10th standard, 12th standard, then he doesn't get admission into a good college, IITs, right? So to get admission into the next phase of life, which is IIT or IIM, he has to work hard now. Similarly, to get admission into a good body, next life, one has to work hard now. But Buddhism doesn't believe.
एक
Yes.
मंत्र में भी आप बोलते हैं जो आप मुझे याद नहीं है।
श्रील प्रभुपाद का प्रणाम मंत्र है वो। चलो ये आपका होमवर्क है। अच्छा याद दिलाया आपने। I was thinking in the last session I forgot. Srila Prabhupada pranam mantra. So when we do Mangalacharan in the beginning, we recite this mantra. ठीक है? आप मेरे पीछे पीछे बोलिए, मैं आपको भेज भी दूंगा. All of you can unmute yourself and recite after me. Namo Vishnu Padaya
नमो विष्णु पादाय
Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale
पृष्ठाय भूतले
Srimate Bhakti Vedanta
श्रीमते वेदांत
Swami Niti Namine
स्वामी निति नामिने
Namaste Saraswate Deve
नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे
Gauravani Pracharine
प्रचारिणे
Nirvishesha Shunyavadi
निर्विशेषशून्यवादी
Paschatya Deshatarine. ठीक है? So this verse, mantra and its meaning, I'll send it. So before next session, you try to learn this. And whatever Mangalacharan we read, no, is available in your Bhagavad Gita. So you can recite parallelly. If you go to introduction, in the beginning of introduction, you have this Mangalacharan which we read in every class. So next time, please try to recite along with me. Okay. Any question? Any other question? So Sambhavi बात, हाँ, yes, yes.
दुख तो पक्षियों को भी होता है, पशुओं को भी होता है, तो उनका कैसे, हम कैसे कह सकते हैं कि उनको भगवान का वो नहीं है, जब वो सिमिलर फीलिंग से गुजरते हैं, जैसे कोई पक्षी का बच्चा मर जाता है, मैंने देखा है वो दुख करते हैं, तो मे बी उनको भी स्पिरिचुअल एनलाइटनमेंट होता हो
नहीं होता है. Why? Because the consciousness is sankuchit. Sankuchit means not underdeveloped. Like you cut a tree, tree also goes through pain. But this pain is minimized. Why? Because his consciousness is conserved, is not developed. So they feel pain, but they cannot ask this question: is there a way to get rid of this pain permanently? That intelligence they don't have. A human can ask. Why? If there's a pain, which is an abnormal situation, means there's a normal situation also. For example, you have a deceased person, sick person. He's sick and it is an abnormal condition, means there is some normal condition also exists. Correct? And what is a normal condition? Healthy person. So if death is abnormal condition, and it is abnormal, old age is abnormal condition. So it means there is a condition which is contrary to this, which exists. So human being can rationalize, intellectualize, and try to inquire, ask questions. कैसे होता है ये? And we ask or makes his inquiry, right? Then he'll find ways. He'll somehow Krishna will make arrangement, and will send Guru to him to solve and answer his queries. Like Dhruv Maharaj. Dhruv Maharaj, when he was chastised by his stepmother, he was very hurt, deeply hurt. And his mother said, if you want kingdom like your father, you have to take shelter of Vishnu. He only can give you kingdom better than Brahma. Brahma was his grandfather. I want kingdom bigger than my grandfather. He only can give you. Then Dhruva said, okay, I will go to jungle and I will go and find out where is this Vishnu. He was very determined. Looking at his determination, Krishna sent Narad Muni as his spiritual master to guide him how to see Krishna. So when we make such intelligent inquiries, then Krishna makes arrangement by sending someone to answer your queries. Krishna is just waiting for you to have such queries. That's why he gave us this human form. So that making an inquiry is the starting point of spiritual life. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, anyone else?
Prabhuji, I have a query.
Yes, Prabhu.
When the soul in a human being and in an animal is same, okay, when there is why the animal soul is not aware or consciousness is there, and why human being has this consciousness, although the soul is same?
Yes. So everybody gets a different body based on two things. One, his karma and his desires. For example, I mentioned this earlier also. Riyansh goes to buy a t-shirt in Big Bazaar. Correct? He sees variety of t-shirts, different colors, different variety, Adidas, Puma, and all. And he chooses one. He chooses one. Now, for him to buy this, what should he have?
Money.
Money. Okay? Money means capability. Okay. So these two things combinedly give one to next body. One is desires and second is capability. You may have any desire, but आपके पास पैसा भी होना चाहिए ना. He may put his finger on Puma, but he has money to buy only Bata. So he simply desire, but desire is important. but he should have enough, supporting karmas also to fulfill the desire. So body is a function of one's desire and ability to pay for it. And karma is ability to pay for it. So when one develops desires of, for example, eating only non-vegetarian, he relishes non-vegetarian, right? There are people who love non-vegetarian food. So his next body will be in which he can relish non-vegetarian 24 hours, entire his life. But for that, he has to go into the body of a lion, panther. That is what his desire. Somebody likes swimming. He spends hours and hours underwater. So Krishna will fulfill the desire by giving him a body which is compatible to live in water. Why 6 hours? You spend 24 hours in the water. So next body is a function of karmas and desires. Out of 84 lakh species, 80 lakh species are animals, birds, plants, trees, reptiles. Means they are not very developed conscious. There is a gradation of consciousness in them also, but not developed enough to understand Krishna consciousness, this subject matter. So all such yonis are called bhog yoni. That body is only to make them experience reactions of previous karmas. Whatever they do is not counted as karma. Like dog is barking, biting, those are not karmas. But in human body, anything we do becomes a karma. This is karma yoni, theirs is bhog yoni. In karma yoni, we can do self-realization because of elevated consciousness. Not possible in. So he has to come evolving through different grades of consciousness, and after all the species, he has to be given this body of human life. Then he can realize. Otherwise, he will not value the human life. He must know that I have got this body after millions of lifetimes. I should not waste this, human life. So it is not easily available. Human life is not easily available. It's rarely available. And hence, it is a privilege and also it is a big responsibility. If we don't utilize this now, because of our habits, desires, we may again go back to animal species. And then when we'll get next time, we don't know. So today we were reading a verse.
Prabhuji,
Just one sec.
Yeah.
Today we were reading one verse from Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter. So where Krishna was saying, so one should work to meet the bare necessities of this life. What does it mean? On to the extent you can keep this body fit, healthy, and balanced time, you should invest in spiritual realization. That is how one can utilize this body. But हमारा उल्टा है ना? We spend maximum time in sense gratification, and जो थोड़ा बहुत समय मिल जाता है उसको हम ठीक है, समय मिल गया तो लगा लेंगे. So our priorities have to be completely reversed. Our spiritual need is our real necessity. Material needs are formalities, but we think material needs are real necessities and spiritual need is a formality. If time permits, we will do it. If time doesn't permit, we'll see after retirement. That is notion people carry, no? अरे भगवद गीता का रिटायर हो जाए उसके पास बात पढ़ेंगे. No. Komaro Prahlad Maharaj says from the age of 5, you should start reading Bhagavad Gita. Shami Mataji, how old are you? If I can ask this question publicly. Normally girls do not like answering this question.
I'm 24, sir.
So you are late by 19 years.
I am.
You're late by 19 years from the age of 5, because it's such an important subject. One should understand right from the beginning.
Yeah, that's what I asked my father also. That why weren't we taught this in the school? We should have been taught this. We wouldn't have so much problems in our lives. We would have been the masters of our life.
Yes. Anyway, you are still fortunate. There are people in this group who entered into 40s or 50s.
Right.
So you've entered in 20s. So you're most luckiest out of the entire group.
Thank you so much.
And Meenal Mataji, she also must be equal to your age, close to your age only.
My brother's even younger. Riyansh is, I think.
Okay. You got your answer, Rajesh Prabhu, to your question?
Guruji, so the consciousness depend upon the body, basically,
Yes. Yes.
isn't it?
Yes.
So it is just when it is switching the body, it means the consciousness goes off and on. It means
Sorry?
body, human body, higher consciousness, and the next body, lower consciousness again. When it
Yes.
suppose goes to the,
It can happen. Yes.
it goes on and off. It means
Yes, but once you enter into animal life or other species, then you'll take many, many lifetimes to come back to human body. It'll be a natural evolution. So one should not miss this opportunity. That is the point. So suppose, you know, you're given some facility. I was discussing last time. You're given some facility by a company, and if you misuse it, that facility will be withdrawn. You know?
right, right.
So why we allow Krishna to withdraw the facility next life if you don't use it properly?
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Okay. Anybody else? So today we have two new students, Rajendra Prabhu and Sambhavi Mataji, correct? Okay, if you could introduce yourself briefly for the benefit of entire team. I'll first request Rajendra Prabhu to introduce himself. Unmute kijiye Prabhuji.
Everything is going on my head, so unable to comment anything at this moment. I joined the classes off and on basis, but I am not a good student. I'm not making notes. Even in my student life, I was sitting on the last bench and little bit poor in doing the homework also. So from that angle, you can say that, you know, not making as per the guidelines, but reading is one of my hobby. So reading different books and Gita also. So finding the true answers which you are telling now, although I have read so many times, different tippanis on Bhagavad Gita and descriptions on this, and through the original also, but little bit unable to understand because of Sanskrit or maybe language issues.
So Rajendra Prabhuji just got retired. He was director with Hindustan Zinc, right? And now he has a lot of time. So I'm sure he'll prove himself to be a wonderful student now. He has time to devote. Earlier he was very busy, I know, so I'm sure. Thank you, Rajendra Prabhu, for joining today. Sambhi Mataji. You spell your this name, otherwise I'll call you every time wrongly.
Whatever you call is nice.
Bolo.
My name is Shambhavi, Shambhavi Thakur. I am Rajesh Kumar ji is my father. And my mom also I saw sitting beside him. My brother's also in this class. So all four of us are actually here.
Entire family is part of this group. Very
The
good.
class. And I have been wanting to join the class since a long time, but since I am a singer by profession, so sometimes I have my commitments here and there, so I can't really, you know, I don't want to not do it half-heartedly. I want to be there when I'm doing it. So that is why I asked Om to just, Riyansh actually, his ghar ka naam is Om. So I asked him to send me the link, and I really enjoyed the class. And I have been reading about the Krishna consciousness since a year now. I was very mentally distressed last year. I was alone and I saw how my mind was actually using me and I was not using my mind. So I opened the first page of Bhagavad Gita and I understood a few things, and that was somehow I take it as my spiritual awakening. I don't know if it was, but it really cleared a lot of concepts. I was reading about psychology because I didn't choose to go to a therapist then, and I, if it is my problem, you know, I will solve. I will understand my mind and I will make it the way it should work and not the way it is working right now. So Krishna, by Krishna's grace, I really recovered very soon, and now I'm very happy and cheerful that I'm sitting in the class, and I will definitely try and continue it how much ever I can.
Very good. Thank you so much. So you are a singer, so you should do some kirtan for all of us. I'll send you some nice videos you can sing.
Please do. I'm already in the way of making a few chant ke songs, and I will want to, you know, I will.
Show some sample here, Mataji, please.
I can't actually. My setup is all closed. I will send you one.
Okay. ठीक है.
People who really interested in doing it, because in Bombay actually you don't. It's like a cage, you know. It's not like-minded people are not all around. But somehow when you progress in this path, people come and they did to support you. So fortunately, I have people who want to do it along with me. And it is not for anything. I don't want the songs to be famous. I just want to, I spoke to, actually, I went to ISKCON Juhu last week with my mom. So I spoke to one Mataji over there also. So Tuesdays and Saturdays, there are female kirtans. So I'll be joining them probably from the next week.
Very good. Wonderful. Very nice. Bahut acha.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome, both of you. And hope to see you every Sunday.
Yes, 100%. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Too late, 2:20 now, 20 minutes late. Please pardon me. So we'll see you next week. So your homework is to memorize this Prabhupada Pranam Mantra I give. Okay. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakti ki jai. Thank you very much. See you next week.